Don't forget, you can reach the latest episode of Potomac Watch anytime. Just ask your smart speaker, play the Opinion Potomac Watch podcast.
From the opinion pages of the Wall Street Journal, this is Potomac Watch.
Welcome back. We're here talking about Joe Biden and his UN speech. And Elliot, it just strikes me, Joe Biden went through these hotspots in the world and what America was doing to address them, sort of ticked off a list. But it was striking. He also spent a lot of time, went at great length talking about the challenges coming forward from the global community of artificial intelligence, and a bit of a meditation on climate change, bragging that they had rejoined the Paris Accords on day one. Lots of talk about the money that had been donated to the World Health Organization on vaccines for COVID and then Mpox, the importance of digital transformation of countries. And look, some of these are challenges, and obviously war and instability isn't always the only priority of the United Nations. But it just, again, Elliot, as I was listening to this, it kind of radiated through that these are the areas that Joe Biden likes to talk about. These are things that aren't nasty, thorny conflicts and aggression and diplomacy. You get to make a pact and you get to share a lot of money and you get to say you're making progress on some sort of challenge, real or imagined. And I just wonder, is that we know so little about Kamala Harris and her own foreign policy ambitions, but is there reason to believe, given she has been in this administration for 4 years, this too would be her bigger interest and focus?
I think it's the sort of thing that makes liberal internationalists feel good about themselves and about what they're doing in the world. This is what they love. A Middle East that's out of control, they don't love that as much. A land war in Europe, not great. So when you're looking around the world at which kind of accomplishments you can pick out, I don't think President Biden has so many options. And Kamala Harris was right there with him, wants to tell us that she was the last person in the room for all of these key choices. Which of the accomplishments can she pick out? Probably more of the same. I mean, she likes to talk about Ukraine a little bit more because she can draw some useful contrasts with Donald Trump. However, I mean, think about how her administration handled Ukraine at the start. First, you have President Biden coming out and saying, well, a small incursion into Ukraine, that would be okay, actually. Sort of telling Putin that he could invade so long as he measured it. Biden has since said similar things to Iran when it comes to attacking Israel. You know, a smaller retaliation, fine. Okay, so basically invited Russia in. And then once Russian troops rolled over the border, the Biden-Harris reaction wasn't to resist, fight for Ukraine. The first reaction was to offer Zelensky a flight out of the country, sort of giving up on Ukraine. If it wasn't for Zelensky resisting that and actually saying no and staying there and fighting, what sort of standing firm on Ukraine would Kamala Harris be able to boast about? When we look at her foreign policy, the truth is we don't know so much. She doesn't say much about it. She's never said much about it. She never dissented from the Biden policy on really any issue. If there's one that you can point out, reportedly she was quicker to want to call for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza than President Biden was. So she wanted to sort of stop the Israeli war effort earlier on in that. So maybe that's one difference. But we can guess she'll be somewhere within the Democratic Party's foreign policy conversation. And that is a conversation between liberal internationalists who believe, I would say, inordinately in these feckless international institutions, and the blame America first wing of the party. And bouncing between those two poles, I think we can expect a Harris foreign policy to end up somewhere in the middle.
Lots of things to think about as we head toward the election. Thank you, Elliot. Thank you, Bill. Thank you to all of our listeners. We are here every weekday. We hope you'll tune in. Definitely hit that subscribe button. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, write to us at pwpodcast@wsj.com.